reminder, please raise your hand to ask a question. We'll start with Taylor.
Taylor.
Hi, Pete. What did you think about this response from your group, and how can you avoid, I guess, what happened after Game 3, going into Game 6?
Yeah. Well, I mean, every situation is different. So, I mean, they're going to push back. They're at home. We've got to go and play a good road game. I'm not surprised by our response. We've got a proud group, I think they feed off people doubting them, and there's a lot of people before the series started, and then after last game, didn't. Well, I mean, we know the what was kind of the feeling in the hockey world about where we were at, and I think our guys, wanted to prove that there's a lot of pride in our group and there's a lot of playoff experience, and I think they showed all those things tonight.
Coach, the team seemed more on the same page tonight. The lines seemed more connected. I mean, what do you think clicked tonight?
Yeah, we were just better. I mean, the last game we played a poor game. It happens. In a 7-game series, you're going to have a night where you're off, and we were off, and we owned it, and we fixed it, and we responded.
Coach, you called this morning, and I'm just wondering what went into the vision that you had of this finally kind of popping with your top name guys getting hot, and how did it finally come to fruition?
Well, I feel I trust our group. We've been on some long playoff runs and some battles with a lot of guys in that room, and I know the character in that room, and I knew we would respond. I didn't know we would win 6-2. I didn't even know we'd win, but I knew we would play a really good game, and we did that.
And just to follow up on that piece of it, I found that interesting, kind of maybe from a sports psychology standpoint, the fact, we've seen coaches challenge their players. I thought it was interesting that in the same breath you challenged them, but also supported them by saying, hey, they're all due.
Yeah.
Was that intentional? Was that just kind of how it came out? I just wondered if there was anything that went into the mentality of that comment.
No, I'm not smart enough for sports psychology. I just, that's how I feel. I felt our group was due. I never envisioned a series where, those guys don't show up and contribute. The guys that got on the board tonight, Wyatt Johnston and Rupe and Rantanen, obviously we're getting to know, but Harley. I thought Jamie Benn was absolutely outstanding tonight. Maybe didn't score, but played against McKinnon almost every shift, and so we just got some great leadership in there.
Jamie.
As great as the start was, how important was it to push back when they made it 3-2?
Well, that was huge. Again, the response. There was no panic. They grabbed that momentum there in the second period, and that obviously could have bled into some other things, but we were on tonight. We were everybody was dialed in, and there was a confident feeling on the bench, regardless of the fact that it was now 3-2, that we were going to respond.
Maybe.
Yeah. Leo.
Wyatt was obviously so great for you guys
Yeah.
last year in the playoffs. To see him score just 9 seconds in, and did you just see something different from him tonight? And how important was it for you to get a couple?
Nothing different. He's a big game player. He's been due to score. This has been a strange series. It's been tight. There hasn't been a lot of room. Their goalies made some big saves at moments. You're not going to keep a guy like that off the board though an entire series, and I really felt he was going to pop at some point, and he obviously did tonight.
Pete, what do you think it means to Mikko Rantanen to finally score? Just everything he's had to deal with. We call this the Mikko Rantanen Bowl. Playing his old team, 2 trades this year, and he's not used to not scoring at this time of year.
Yeah.
What's that? How big
huge relief for him. You could tell by our group's reaction how happy our guys were for him. I mean, they feel that, they see him carrying that around. Having said that, I can't tell you how professionally he's been in his approach every day, in putting the team first. You know, and you wouldn't know he hasn't scored. You know, he cares about us winning. I think more importantly, he wants to know defensively what we can do, what he can do to help us win. So, you know, but you know, this guy scored his whole life. He gets paid to score, and you know, I think when guys like that finally get one, you know, hopefully look out.
Pete, the physical kind of part of the game, especially later on, it
Yeah.
seemed like they were trying to bring a little bit more after whistles. And how did you like your response, especially players like Lindell and Bishop late in the game when that started?
Yeah, we get some big men back there. You know, Lindell, Bishop, Petrovic. You know, even CC, Lybushkin, Harley. It's a big group of defenders, and you know, I think they're hard to play against when our forwards are defending well and managing the puck. That group can really play a physical, hard game, and I thought they took a toll on some of their guys tonight. Tim? Oh, here we go.
Coach,
Yeah.
you've had kind of an odd April. Is this the best game you guys have played this month?
Yeah, I would say for 60 minutes, yeah, I would say. But, you know, we haven't been as bad as our record indicates either. I think we made some conscious decisions down the stretch to rest key people. You know, and even in some of those losses, we played some pretty good hockey for extended periods. So, but this is our best game for sure. Yeah.
You talked about how hard it is to win back-to-back games because
Yeah.
the mentality changes for the loser. How much does that
Yeah.
work to your advantage now? You've done it once, they haven't.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the challenge. And, you know, as good as they were in game 4, you know, we're gonna get that same game from them again. I'm sure of it. So the challenge for us is to make sure we don't take a deep breath here like we did after game 3, and just hope to win. We've got to show up there and you know, have a version of how we played tonight, and you know, hopefully earn a win in there.
We'll do 2 more questions over here.
Coach, right here. Can you just talk about Jake Auden just poised down the stretch,
Yeah.
giving up that second goal? Really seemed like he was dialed in at that.
Yeah, poise is a great word for him. You know, I think that's exactly how I would describe him. And he's got a history. I saw a stat before the game, but you know, game 4, 5, 6, 7 of series, I've said he gets better as the series goes on, as he works his way into it. In my history with him, you know, that's how he's looked at the most important times of the series, you know, has been rock solid like that. And he had a real composure and poise to him tonight. Even when it got to 3-2, you know, he made a couple saves. He made some saves look easy that were difficult, and that's what we need.
We'll do one last question over here.
Yeah.
Pete, Mikko mentioned honesty. He thought the vibe after game 4 was honesty, everybody being honest with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're riding high after the best performance of the series, how do you use honesty to try to get ready for game 6?
Well, I think the result is how we'll use it. You know, we had our biggest offensive output playing our most honest game tonight. So, you know, those things go hand in hand for me. You know, you defend well, you take care of the puck, the goals will come. And I think, you know, we found that line tonight where you know, hopefully we understand that, and that's got to be a big part of our formula going forward. Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow there's no practice, but Pete will do his media at 11 a.m.